Okay, so ever since back when I did my 1S review and then the 2S came out, I've kind of wondered like how it stacked up because I was pretty surprised like how much I like the 1S, even though ultimately it's just not like my kind of pad. But it still surprised me which with how much I liked it. So I was wondering, is the 2S, do they improve upon it? What do they do with it? So I bought a used set from Sideline Swap. It's actually the first time I've used Sideline Swap. Pretty smooth, no problem. So I guess I'd recommend it if you see something like on there. I mean, I'm not being paid to endorse them or anything, but just my honest opinion. One time I did buy something from there, it went good. So anyway, I ended up getting. Well, another reason why I got this set, I mean, not just out of curiosity to see how the 2S stacks up to the 1S, and also just in general, I like trying new stuff. But so like my favorite college hockey team is the University of Michigan. Not that I'm huge into college hockey, but if I have to say who my favorite team is, it's them. Just because I was born and raised in South Florida, why I'm a Panthers fan. So it's not like I really have a college hockey team down here to root for. I mean, we have club teams. I played for the Florida State University club team, but club hockey is garbage down here. So it's not really, you don't follow them and whatever, anything like that. So as far as like D1 hockey, just as a kid, I kind of was drawn to Michigan because I liked Wolverine. They were called the Wolverines. I liked their colors. Just so as a kid, that kind of stuff attracts you to it. So whatever. They're technically my favorite college team. Not that I'm really deep into college hockey or follow it that much. But anyway, so this 2S set belonged to Strauss Mann, who one of their goalies played for them this past season. So that kind of pushed me over the edge to buying them and figure, well, it's kind of cool. He has a custom graphic on it. I thought it was cool, so figured get a set and also get to try out the 2S. So anyway, so with the 1S set, just to go back a little bit, I thought like weight-wise it was super light. I thought it slid really good. Ultimately it's just very stiff pad, which is not what I like. So, I wouldn't want to use it on a regular basis, but I could definitely use it sporadically, whatever, here or there, no problem. And like performance-wise, it was very good. Obviously, the biggest thing that people complained about with the 1S set, and I think even with the 1X a little bit too, I mean, they apparently were improving as they went along. But especially with the 1S set, the biggest complaint everybody was saying was just the durability. It wasn't lasting. It would just start falling apart. It would cut easily, or whatever, damage easily, get worn out easily. And I did find that seemed to be the case with the 1S set I had. Now, I bought it used, just like this 2S set is used also. But I bought it used, and it was beat to hell even when I got it. So, I mean, you never know what the previous owner has done with it. So in one way, it's maybe not fair to judge based on that, but man, it just seemed the wear on it and the damage that was on it just seemed really excessive. Like no matter, I don't know, like the guy would have had to be using it on like asphalt street hockey almost to get it to the level it was at. So to me, it really seemed like there was a durability issue with the 1S. I mean, I only used it to demo it, so I didn't use it for that long. I used it for like 4 or 5 skates, something like that. So with me, I don't really remember that it got any more damage when I used it, but I didn't use it for that much. It was just pickup sessions, whatever, for like I said, like 4 or 5 pickup sessions. But I could tell just from looking at it that it really had excessive wear, more so than what you would expect a pro level pad to have. And apparently that was due to the skin they use on it, which is not like the classic Gen Pro that they've used for years. It's a special skin. I think they specifically use it, I mean, maybe partly for weight saving, but also for their printing technology. It's so they can print on it, because I don't think you can really print on just straight up Gen Pro. So anyway, so part of the advertising or whatever they did for the 2S was that it's supposedly they improved on it, the durability issues are fixed. So I will admit that I feel like that is the case. Again, this is just a demo I've done with these. But just let's put it in perspective. These were used for a full season. Or, well, you know what, let me be fair, it may not have even been a full season because I don't know how many pads Strauss Mann went through for a season. But possibly a full season, at least half a season, I would say, of NCAA Division I hockey. So obviously these pads have seen a good amount of use, hard shots, you know, all that. And there was really no, other than puck marks, there was really no damage at all. Like it was nothing like the 1S set I had got, and that wasn't even being used by a Division I, you know, NCAA goalie. So if anything, you would think these would be more beat up because it's getting harder shots, more use, whatever, you know, practice games, whatever. But the condition of these pads were actually really good. The only thing that had happened, and it was advertised when I bought it, so it's not like I didn't know about anything, was there was one skate cut that the equipment manager for the team fixed. I'm not going to hold that against the pad. I've had skate cuts happen in regular Gen Pro, older pads. Like, there's nothing you do about it. If the skate blade slams into your pad, it's going to happen. It's not, I'm not going to blame the pad for that. So other than that, there was really none of the wear, rips, tears that I really saw in the 1S. As far as let me just show you these. So, you know, I've been kind of holding back. So you can see custom graphic, the University of Michigan. These are the leg pads. Here is the skate cut that was fixed. And I mean, you can tell whoever did it really did a good job. I mean, that's fixed really well. I mean, it looks not great, kind of ugly, but what are you gonna do? So as far as how these, I mean, besides durability, which I just talked about, which I feel like it definitely has improved with the 2S. The other thing comparing it to the 1S would be, you know, how does it play? How does it feel? What have they changed with it? And honestly, I feel like it's a lot of the same, which is not necessarily a bad thing because I did think the 1S pad was pretty good. I was impressed with it. If something works, you know, why fix it? Or if something doesn't broke, don't fix it, right? So, you know, the one issue was just the durability. This does seem to be an improvement upon that. Other than that, there really wasn't any issues for me with something that they needed to fix necessarily with the 1S. However, you kind of maybe expect some more changes from one generation of a pad to another. So, I mean, it's kind of weird that other than durability, I feel like it's very, very much the same pad. To the point that if you could maybe find a 1S set on clearance or a really good condition used 1S set, it might be just more worth it than buying a new 2S set, even though the durability is not as good. But you'll be saving a lot of money, and to me, it's pretty much the same pad. Like I said, it's not necessarily a bad thing. We've seen that with the pad I use, the Vaughn Velocity series, where it's been accused of really not changing a lot over the years. I would argue that it's maybe not a lot of changes from like one series to the next, but if you look maybe like 2-3 series of the Velocity pad apart, I think you can really see some changes. But overall, still, I can understand when they say like the Velocity pad has mostly kind of stayed the same for a long period of time. So if you have success with a pad and people like it, I guess you don't want to really tinker with it too much. So take that for whatever it's worth to you. Some people might love that they didn't really change it. Some people maybe were looking for a little something more. So if you watch the review I did for the 1S, one of the things I talked about how it wasn't exactly a stock pad because the person that had it before me had kind of did a little mod with the calf wrap area. So I'm opening this up to show you. Now this to me, as far as I know, this is stock pad. I don't think he got any special things done to it. These seem, as far as what I can see, like pictures online or whatever of the stock that you order from websites, this seems pretty stock. You know, there's certain you know, you can order it without a bootstrap, or you can order it with the, or I think it comes stock with the like bungee toe tie things, and he uses the traditional toe laces, which is what I use anyway, so I like that they came like this. But for the main things of the pad, it's basically stock. So with the 1S pad that I had reviewed, the previous owner had cut this piece out. This is the CRS strap. So he had cut that out, and he had kind of made his own little professor strap that he rigged to attach up here. It was just a simple Velcro elastic strap, but it operated as a professor strap. And I hadn't used a stock 1S or any other 1S, 2S, whatever pad before that. So that was my first use of it, and so I didn't like know any difference. And like I said in my review, I liked the way the pad felt, whatever. And then when I looked into it, you know, I realized that he had tinkered with it, and that wasn't meant to be. So in my 1S review, I mentioned that, and I talk about how I wonder maybe how different it would be if it was the actual stock pad. So with this, I got to, you know, kind of feel how that stock feel is with these. And I gotta say, I don't care for this thing. I think it's a better setup without this and with a professor strap. And apparently I'm not the only one who thinks that way, because this past season I go to Panthers games, and they have a store in the arena where they sell used gear, player gear, goalie gear, and they had a set of James Reimer's 2S pads. And when I looked at him, he had a professor strap going on there. And it was like a legit, well done, not you know, not like a little homemade thing like what I had on my 1S, but he had a legit looking like professor strap on there. And at the time, I hadn't seen a 2S pad up close, so I was thinking, oh, maybe Bauer had gotten some feedback and people told them they liked that and they changed it, and that's how their pads came. But no, that was just something that, I don't know if Reimer had Bauer do it themselves, or if he like had the equipment manager rig it up or whatever. Either way though, like I said, it looked like a legit professor strap. It wasn't like some little quick rig thing that looked very homemade. But yeah, so I don't know if Bauer has any plans with the 3S or whatever next pad they're coming out with to maybe add a professor strap to get rid of this. But my suggestion to them would be that to get rid of this and to use the professor strap. I feel like that is a better option on your leg. So when I tried these on and I wore these immediately, it felt like not as comfortable, but also it's very awkward to strap up with this because you got so many different things going on here at once. And like to get the strap, it's kind of hard. I can't really show it to you without actually putting it on my leg, but in order to strap this up, when you get it on your leg, you kind of have to like lift up another part and loop this underneath. It's very complicated, and it kind of defeats the purpose of having this all elastic Velcro strapping system, because I mean, besides a little bit of weight saving, part of the bonus of it is supposed to be like it saves you time as opposed to, you know, doing up leather straps up and down the pad. You just, you know, Velcro it in and you're done. But in order to do this, it's a little awkward, and I feel like it takes a little extra time, and I don't feel like this is saving me a whole lot of time putting this pad on than when I use my Vaughn pad that has old style leather straps. So I definitely think that's something they should change if I had to say something I would recommend for them to do. But other than that, like I was saying before, I feel like the pad plays pretty much exactly like the 1S pad. Stiff pad, it's got, I mean, if you force it, it has some flex to it if you force it. But unless, I mean, when it's on your leg, unless you're completely leaning on the top of these and pushing them down, it's not flexing over the course of play. So for all intents and purposes, it's just a pretty straight stiff pad. The boot has a tiny tiny bit of flex, but nowhere near what I'm used to and I like. That's in my Vaughn pads. So, I mean, that's just the style of pad though, so I'm not holding it against the pad. There's something necessarily wrong with it. It's just not something I really care for overall. But sliding wise, slides just as good as the 1S. Weight, I'm not sure. I haven't heard anything if they advertise that this is supposed to be even lighter than the 1S, but like it's super light. Just like the 1S, when you put it on, you're amazed with how light it is. If it's not the lightest pad, it's maybe the second lightest pad on the market, but it's super light. Like I said, the sliding is good on it, which I was impressed with the sliding with the 1S. This is just as good. Kicks the rebounds out. So if you're one of these goalies that like to just send the rebound shooting far out, this will do that. Yeah, I don't know what else to really say about the leg pads. Like I said, I feel like it's just kind of more of the same with the 1S, except with what appears to be improved durability, which was their biggest concern. So I guess you can't really blame Bauer for not doing a whole lot else improving the pad. Like I said, I feel like there may be a better deal to be had with some sort of 1S thing if you want to go with this style Bauer pad. Whether it be used on clearance or whatever, you probably, because I mean these are pretty expensive, so brand new, the 2S, so you could probably save like $800,000 again, depending whether you're getting it on clearance or maybe used, whatever. Just make sure though, if you're getting the 1S, it's you're at least getting it yourself in good condition, because if it's going to have durability issues, you want it to at least be good when you get it. You don't want to have the durability issues be starting already before you even got the pad. But yeah, so again, still liking what Bauer's doing with this. Like a lot that they've improved the durability. I just think the strapping needs to be tweaked a little bit, and or at least, because I don't even think there's an option. I mean, I haven't seen it on the customizers when you order to put a professor strap. So I think any pad I've seen with a professor strap thing on it had to have been some sort of third-party, homemade kind of thing. I don't think you can order it from Bauer, at least not like regular guys like us. Maybe a pro could get it from Bauer with that. But I think they should at least, if they're not going to do it as a stock thing on the pad, at least offer as an option to have the professor strap, because I do think that works way better with the pad than that CRS strap. Like I said, just feels a little awkward, and it's awkward when you're putting it on. I don't think it's really doing anything that great for the pad. I like the way the 1S felt, the 1S pads that I had. I like the way they felt a little better than these pads, but it's 100% because of the mod that the previous owner had done to it. So that's the leg pads. Next I'll talk about the glove. So with the 1S pads I reviewed, those were just the pads. I didn't have any glove or blocker to go with, it was just the pads. So this is my first time using Bauer glove and blocker since they started with the 1S until now with the 2S. So again, these are Strauss Mann's gloves. This glove I got definitely feels like it has some sort of pro or practice palm in it. I don't think this is the stock palm. So I don't know if this was his practice glove possibly, or if this is the one he actually used in the game. But I found that it's very hard to close this glove because of the extra padding they put in here. Because you can even tell when you close it, because like it starts off easy to close, like from open to this, it's super easy to close. But then once the padding, all this extra padding starts getting squeezed together, it gets to a point where it hits each other, and then it's super hard to finish closing it off. So it doesn't just snap shut. Easy to close, like, what is that, maybe 75% of the way, and then, but you can't, it's really hard to get that last bit closed in there to really snap it shut. So I'm not crazy about that. I haven't used the stock palm since this is the first Bauer glove I've had. So I can't say for sure that a stock palm is adequate enough, but I'm gonna go on a limb and say it probably is, because I use stock palms in every other glove I've ever had, and anything within the past like 8 years is completely fine. Like 10, 15 older years ago, you could maybe complain that stock palms weren't good enough and you'd get stingers, possibly even some injuries to it. But I feel like almost any glove on the market right now, especially for just beer leaguers like us, is more than adequate for what we need. You know, maybe pro Division I goalies, especially in practice, okay, I guess you want to be even more cautious. But I feel like this is definitely overkill for my purposes, and I would not order a glove with that in it because it just makes it really hard to close. Another thing about this glove is it's a 75-degree break, and I'm not crazy about it. My Vaughn glove is a 60-degree break, and that's what I prefer. So I've been using. So I have the Vaughn V7 now. Before that, I had the V6. Both had the same brakes. I really like it. Some of the most comfortable gloves I've ever used. Very easy to close. So I had a Warrior RGT glove, and that was also 75 degree. But I didn't mind it so much with that. But I think just with this one, the combination of the 75-degree closure and the extra padding here just makes the glove pretty uncomfortable. And I found that I just wasn't catching things as good with this. So I really don't care for the glove. I would not, you know, like with the leg pads, I said, well, ultimately they're not my style, but I could at least still use them sporadically, or if I had to for some reason. This glove I would not want to use at all. I wouldn't recommend it for as far as my preferences go. Like I said though, of course this has the extra padding in the palm, so that makes a big difference to me. But the 75-degree closure is the stock closure for this. But even saying that, like I said, with the Warrior glove I had before was 75-degree, and I didn't mind it as much. I mean, I didn't like it as much as my Vaughn gloves, but I also didn't mind it as much as I mind this, because it's just other things going on here besides the brake. That's an issue. But one thing I actually do like about the glove, and I feel like maybe in general this is just the way the industry is going, because it started with Warrior, and now I see it with this glove too. What they want to do now is really make the wrist part of these gloves super mobile, so you can really get a lot of flexion going on here. So Warrior achieves that by having a very shallow area where you put your hand in. So if this was a Warrior glove, like it would kind of end probably like around here, and it just wouldn't even have this area here to restrict you at all. So you can completely present the face of the glove out. And I really like that with the Warrior glove that I tried. It's something that with my Vaughn glove, although I love like everything else about it, I do kind of wish I could present it a little better. The way the cuff is on the Vaughn glove, it kind of prevents me from easily being able to do that. Like I have to really torque my wrist to get it like fully straight out so that's what I want to do. So like with my Vaughn glove, it's more like this instead of being able to do that kind of a thing. It's not the hugest deal. I don't really find like it's a problem necessarily when I play, but it's just if there was anything about the Vaughn glove that I'd want to improve, it's that is maybe a little more mobility in the wrist area. So that's something I really liked with the Warrior glove. That's probably the only thing I like about this glove, because like I said, I just don't like the way it feels other than that, like as far as the closure and the break. But so anyway, like I said, like I was saying before, Warrior achieves it by just having kind of a shallow area where you put your hand in, and it gets cut off earlier. So this has more of a traditional like length of the cuff here, but this part is super, super flexible. This is just being held on with this like loose elastic, and this whole area is very loose. So, which, I mean, I guess, not that I ever had an issue with when I was using the Warrior glove as far as protection on the backhand, but I guess if you had to say, this provides better protection, because unlike the Warrior, which, you know, cuts the cuff off short, this still has like more of a traditional length cuff, but yet it's so flappy and loose that you can still have that flexion like you do with the Warrior. So that might be a plus for some people who don't mind the break of it. Other than that, what else? It's a one-piece glove. I always use, I've tried other one-piece gloves. The Warrior was a one-piece glove, but as far as like my actual sets or gloves that I use for full-time, I've always had two-piece gloves. Just, I'm old. It's what I used when I was younger. It's not that I actually don't like the one piece, but I don't know. It's just more of a feel and what I'm used to kind of issue. But I don't feel anything wrong with the one piece. I mean, the couple one piece gloves I've tried has not been an issue. But at the same time, I feel like the two piece gloves I use aren't an issue either. Like I don't have an issue one way or the other. To me, I don't really care. So if Vaughn like switched to all their gloves being one piece, I probably wouldn't really care. I would still just order it. But it might be something you care about. So whatever, it's a one piece. It's very solid. I don't know what else to really say about that. Double T, which is what I prefer, although kind of like with the cuff issue, I've used single T, and it's not a huge thing. It's just, but I do feel like double T keeps the puck in the pocket a little more. So I prefer it. I don't necessarily have to have it. I could use a single T, but if I have my choice, I go with double T. So, I mean, it's about all I think I can say about the glove. Now we will move on to what is my actual favorite part of this set, which is the blocker. Again, I didn't get to try the glove and blocker with the 1S, so I can't really compare it to the 1S. This is the first Bauer blocker I've used, and it's the only thing in this set that I would immediately start using in full-time. I could. I mean, I have no problem with my Vaughn, so I'm not looking to replace it, but like this I could use with no problem as my full-time blocker. And I can't say that, definitely not with the glove, because I don't even like the glove. And I can't say that with the pads just because it's not my style of pad. But the blocker, I'd be completely fine using it, no problem. So this is my favorite piece in this set. It's super protective, hard. It's got the single piece sidewall here, which my Vaughn blocker doesn't have. It has a two-piece. Again, this is another thing where it's not like a huge issue for me. And Vaughn does offer their SLR line, their blocker. The SLR blocker has the one piece. So I technically could have gone with the SLR, but I just overall like the feel of the Velocity blocker better. So I wasn't gonna order an SLR blocker just to have that one piece sidewall. But if they offered the V7 blocker with the one piece, which actually, did they have the XR? Because they had the XF and the XR. I don't remember now if the XR had a one piece. Mine is the XF and it's two piece. So anyway, I'm going off on a tangent here. Anyway, with my V6 and my V7, both a two piece, I didn't have a problem with it. I just stayed with it, whatever. I kind of like the one piece better though, because it's more rigid, and it's almost like you can still have a blocker. I mean, you're not supposed to turn your blocker hand, but it's not a perfect world. We do things we're not supposed to. So sometimes you might, especially when if you're bringing your hands in and trying to be compact, sometimes you'll turn your blocker maybe too far to the side. And if a puck hits this, it's almost as good as hitting the front part. Like, it's not gonna bend it and go in. This is completely solid. This side part is not going anywhere. Not that I really have that as a major issue with my two-piece blocker, but it's just something a little extra where it's like, if, there's always weird, crazy rules that happen, and that's just one more thing that this will take away of. Like I said, it's not the puck is not going to be bending this in or whatever. So if the puck hits this, it's stopping it and coming back out. So that, I mean, I like that about this blocker. The front, much like the leg pads, the front of this shoots the rebounds out really far. So again, if that's what you're looking to do, this definitely accomplishes that. Wrist mobility is really good. Although at this point, I really can't think of any blocker I've tried recently that had bad wrist mobility. I mean, I feel like between just the way they make them and how much adjustment you can do on blockers, it really shouldn't, there's no blocker that really shouldn't be super restrictive. I mean, maybe some a little better than others, but you pretty much should be able to have pretty good wrist mobility in just about any blocker that's out there. So that's good. I like the placement of it, felt good when I was using it, placement of the palm. So yeah, this is probably my favorite part of the set, and like I said, if I had to, I could start using this right now and be fine with it. The one thing I will say, actually that just came to mind, while the leg pads are super light, the glove and blocker are actually not that light. And again, so since this was a Strauss Mann set, Division I college hockey goalie, maybe he did something different to this, like added something, extra protection or something he requested, and maybe that added to the weight of it. I mean, like I said, I definitely think the glove has an extra piece in the palm, because that palm is way too thick and stiff to be just the stock one. So with the glove, maybe that's what's adding to the weight. The blocker, I'm not sure. It seems pretty stock to me, but maybe he got some extra thing in it. I'm not sure, and maybe that's adding to the weight. But the glove and blocker are not as light as my Vaughn glove and blocker. I actually weighed them on my little scale. I did this a while ago, like when I first got it. I don't have the numbers off the top of my head right now, but I was just surprised when I found that out, because I figured, Bauer, big thing is about, low weight, whatever, but maybe that's mainly with the leg pads and not with the glove and blocker, or maybe this has some kind of custom thing in it that makes it a little heavier, but it does feel a little heavy. That being said, I have to admit, this is probably, not that I have protection issues with my Vaughn blocker, but this, if I had to say which one is more protective, it's this one. So maybe that's where the weight's going, is that it's more protective, and so it kind of depends on what's more important to you. Is weight more important? Is protection more important? Although, like I said, I don't feel like I have really protection issues with my Vaughn, so you can still go lighter and get good protection. But some people just want to get, the most protective thing they can. And if that's the case, I really don't know what's out there that's going to be more protective than this. I mean, this is really, really solid. You can feel it when you put it on, how solid this is. It's one of the reasons why I like it. Like, you have complete confidence that this is completely protecting you, and that you're just gonna fire those rebounds out really hard. I mean, this is super, super hard. The only other thing I'll say about this set is the glove and blocker, and I don't know if you noticed just as I've been talking about it. So the glove and blocker, actually, the graphic on it, while it matches the graphic of the leg pad, this is actually what you're looking at is pad wrap. Apparently the story behind that when it was listed on Sideline Swap, the guy selling it posted what the story was about it. So it's pad wrap because apparently when Bauer sent Strauss his set, they got the color yellow wrong on it. So there is an actual graphic under this. It's the same exact graphic, but I guess they got the yellow wrong. I think what it is, they gave him sport gold instead of the maize yellow or whatever their official University of Michigan color is. So they just got pad wrap and pad wrapped over it with the actual yellow color. I don't know if you can actually see it, probably not, because the pad wrap isn't completely covering it exactly. So there's certain parts where you can see the graphic underneath yellow. I'm colorblind, so I'm not a great person to talk about it really. I don't see a whole lot of difference in the yellow. It does look a little more mustardy, the yellow underneath, so that's why I'm saying I'm thinking it was sport gold when it wasn't supposed to be sport gold, and then they pad wrapped to make the brighter yellow for their actual colors. The leg pads though are not pad wrapped, it's the actual graphic, so they got, at least they got the leg pads right. So I think that's pretty much all I have to say about this set. If you have any questions, just put them in the comments and I'll be happy to answer them. You know, after I do these videos, there's always kind of things I'll think of, like, oh, I should have said that. So, but I feel like I covered as much as I could, saying as much as I could. Like I said, overall, I just feel like it's a lot of the same as the 1S, which, depending on how you felt about the 1S, may or may not be a good thing. I do feel like they at least somewhat address the durability issues. There's always going to be people complaining, I guess, and people that can't get over it, but I do think it's definitely an improvement. Now, is it as durable as traditional Gen Pro? Maybe not, but I definitely feel like it's more durable than the version they had on the 1S. So that being said, I'm just going to end the video now. Like I said, if you have any questions, leave them in the comments and I'll be happy to answer. See you next time.